Good evening, welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is the Marion City Council meeting for Thursday, June 8th. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call, please.
Mr. Miskman,
Here.
Mr. Jensen,
Here.
Mr. Harper,
Here.
Mayor Abu Osley,
Here.
Mr. Brandt.
Here.
Ms. Menzer, Mr. Sternad.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, we have a public forum, which is a time set aside for comments from members of the public. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the moment of silence. My apologies. Okay, we'll have the moment of silence. Okay, thank you. All right, now we have the public forum, which is time set aside for comments from members of the public on any topic which is on the agenda but not associated with the public hearing. If anyone is here to speak on an item that is part of a public hearing, there will be time during the public hearing for comments. And if anyone is here to speak on an item that is not on the agenda, there will be a time at the end of the agenda for those comments. So at this time, we'll take comments to the council on any topic that is on the agenda but not part of a public hearing. Anyone here to address council? Please come forward. Okay, seeing that no one's coming forward, we will close this part of the meeting and proceed to the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as follows. Items A1 through F5, resolutions 31417 through 31442.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented, including items A1 through F5, resolutions 31417 through 31442. Discussion. Okay, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. For the next section, I will turn over the meeting to the Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve the consent agenda with Mayor Abu Osley's abstention as follows. This will be items B1 through E3, resolutions 31443 through 31446.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda with the mayor's abstention as follows. Items B1 through E3, resolutions 31443 through 31446. Any discussion? Very well. All those in favor of the consent agenda with the mayor's abstention as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Back to the mayor.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 23-11, amending various sections of the Marion Code of Ordinances. This is the final consideration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the final consideration of ordinance number 23-11, amending various sections of the Marion Code of Ordinances. Discussion. Okay, all those in favor of the final consideration of ordinance number 23-11, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to receive and file the Traffic Advisory Committee report regarding a no parking request on 28th Avenue and 24th Street intersection. This is from Elfrida Tillander from 2550 28th Avenue.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to receive and file the Traffic Advisory Committee report regarding a no parking request on 28th Avenue and 24th Street intersection. Discussion on the motion to receive and file the report. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. This time, we will have a public comment period regarding the no parking request on 28th Avenue from 24th Street to 28th Street. So please come forward and state your name and address. And if you haven't filled out our card, you have, okay, perfect. Please proceed. Thank you.
My name's Randy Bush. I live at 2521 28th Avenue. Lived there for 40-some years. With parking available on both sides, hasn't been a problem, I don't think, at all myself. Down at the corner of 24th Street and 28th Avenue, parking needs to be moved back on both sides because school bus stop there and people turning up that one can't, where the cars are parked too close to the corner, you can't see them till you're making the turn and they're already blocked. And the school bus stops there. So I think the cheapest and easiest way is to move parking back or whatever, I don't know how much, but like 25 or 30 feet, and put no parking from here to corner. Same way up on 31st Street, which I got some signatures and I didn't go clear up. I went a little past 27th Street for signatures. And the closer I got up there, the more they talked about 31st Street and 28th Avenue need to have the cars parked back from the intersection. Other than that, we have from 24th Street to 27th Street. Ours is a snow route, so we can't park out in the street when there's snow. And people coming down the hill, because it's pretty much a straight shot straight down from 31st to 24th Street, are clipping along at 30 to 40 miles an hour going past my place. I'm a block and a half up. And I can tell how fast, basically, if they're applying their brakes back at my place, they're going too fast. Because normally if you go on the regular speed, you don't apply your brakes a block and a half from the intersection. And I found people, when they come up our street, if there's parking on one side, the car going by is closer to the opposite curb than they are to the car they're passing. So instead of being in the middle lane, if the parking's on the right, you're in the middle lane, they're clear over almost to the other curb. Now, I don't know what people don't know where their right side is, but anyway. So I think the easiest and cheapest was just put no parking signs on each end.
So just to be clear, you're not in favor of this proposal?
No, I'm not in favor. No, I don't think we need to do that myself. And I had I don't know, 15 or I turned in some signatures on my street that I turned in. That I think I saw it on one of these places here online.
Anyone have questions? Oh, go ahead. Okay, thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Anyone else have comments on this measure? Did we receive other comments outside the meeting?
Yes, the following comments were submitted in advance of the meeting. Mr. Warner at 2699 28th Avenue is in support of all the recommended no parking zones. Connie Allball at 2530 28th Avenue would only approve them surrounding the intersections. Wendell Gahn at 2920 28th Avenue is in support of the recommendation. Bob Blockus at 2851 28th Avenue is against the recommendation. And then, as stated, there was a petition filed of 19 homeowners all on 28th Avenue against the recommendation.
Okay. Okay, is anyone else here to address council on this measure? Okay, then we can close the public comment section. and proceed to the next item.
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 31447, approving establishment of a no parking zone on the south side of 28th Avenue from 24th Street to 31st Street.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 31447, approving the establishment of the no parking zone on the south side of 28th Avenue from 24th to 31st Streets. Okay, discussion? Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I got two questions, Mike. First of all, the petition was presented with 19 signatures of people on 28th Avenue against this. But for this to even to be recommended to TAC, that requires 25 signatures, basically of people in favor. Is that correct?
So the original petition that was received by the city was only for the intersection. Because staff has gotten proceeding by city council to look at the entire city and we're doing segment by segment, it made sense to go ahead and look at this as the entire block instead of just the first 25 feet. So staff change, that was the original petition, was only to do the first 25 feet at the intersection. And because of what we've received as direction, we went ahead and did the entire segment.
Yes, so again, that same comment is going to apply obviously to one of the next items coming up because I'm familiar with 28th Avenue. I was not as familiar with the other one coming up. But I also remember that discussion that we've talked about is that eventually we want to move sections of the city to parking only on one side anyway. So,
Correct.
So that's the reasoning in this particular case for TAC doing that. So you've answered that other question that I had. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, somewhat in the same vein, so what led us to contemplating citywide eventually that there's parking only on one side of each street was to alleviate that contention, especially in the winter, between very narrow streets due to snow accumulation versus the ease of passage for our emergency vehicles, given the experience that we had a year or two ago. And obviously newer developments have different street dimensioning and geometries than longer established neighborhoods. So I guess that's the motivation for us to do this. I guess the question is, in my mind, how effectively have we perhaps communicated that driving force to the broader base of the community why we're doing this? And
So
I think that's important for us to do as we proceed through this overall process. Mike, I cut you off there, sorry.
that's right. So in the TAC report that all the people that are affected by this change, they were actually given that notice in the TAC report. And there's actually pictures of the fire engine backing up on 3rd Street. So the particular, in this instance, and both on the one that we're gonna have in a couple motions, they were made aware of that. So it's actually in the TAC report.
So one last comment about the TAC report. It mentions the issue where there's a reduction of traffic calming when you go to one side parking. In other words, two sides of parking has a tendency to slow down traffic more than one side of parking. But I guess what we're dealing with here is that particular issue imbalance with our ability to have emergency response when it's necessary for health and safety related issues. So, certainly in my mind, I have a tendency to want to bias towards health and safety related positioning as opposed to what is a feature of, in this case, traffic calming. So I just think was an interesting thing that I picked up from the TAC report that certainly is responsive to the comments that we've received in terms of the speed of travel down that street.
Any other comments? Discussion? So the recommendation is going beyond the initial request because it's consistent with our policy of moving towards parking on one side because of the public safety aspect and the ability of emergency vehicles to access a street.
Correct. If this if the original petition never came to city council, at some point we would have gotten to this neighborhood and
Okay.
done the whole neighborhood at once. Because we got the original petition earlier, that moved them up on the list, so they get done earlier.
Okay, just wanted that to be clear. Okay,
I have a
yeah, go ahead.
common question. So the gentleman talked about, and in the petition talked about the issue at the intersections with parking too close to the intersection. Obviously, this will alleviate one side of the street for that. But correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it, I don't know if it's a state law, but you have to park, there is no parking within 10 feet of a stop sign? Is that how it works?
From a stop sign or the curb radius, and that's in our code of ordinances.
It's our code, okay, so it's
It's a state law as well.
state law. So are there many signs out there throughout the city that say no parking here to corner or anything like that? Is that
In
something that
trouble
could-
areas, we add them, but most intersections do not have them.
So that might be something to add in this area. If the main concern was the issue with the parking at the end of the streets, if the no parking here to corner on the side that does allow parking.
Yeah,
Might
so right
help
now it's
mitigate some of
parking on
that.
both sides, and I think that's the issue. If we take it away from one side, that may not be as much of an issue. So I would wait, see how it happens, and then we can take further
Sure.
action.
That's kind of where I'm going, is potentially if there's still an issue with changing it the way it is, that maybe we could have that sign added.
Yeah, did the TAC report address the original request with the parking at the intersection? Did it singularly make a determination on that, or was it?
So we just changed it basically. The issue was there was cars parked on both sides at the intersection, so making that curve into the intersection made it difficult. By removing it from at least one side of the road, that makes that easier.
Right.
So it does address that, but then it also addresses the issue even at 27th, which likely doesn't have a lot of turning movements. But it addresses the entire length of the road.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, we'll vote. All those in favor of approving resolution number 31447, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Okay, the motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to receive and file TAC Advisory Committee report regarding a no parking request on 34th Avenue and Stonefield Drive intersection. Michael Holland, 765 34th Avenue.
Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to receive and file the Traffic Advisory Committee report regarding a no parking request on 34th Avenue and Stonefield Drive intersection. Any discussion on receiving and filing the report? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. This time we have a public comment period on the no parking request on West 34th Avenue Court, West 34th Avenue, 34th Avenue and Stonefield Drive. Okay, the public comment period is open. Anyone here to address council, please come forward. We have one gentleman coming up, and then you're welcome to go right after him is okay. Please turn that to the clerk, and then please state your name and address.
Michael Mulholland, I'm 765 34th Avenue. All for the no parking on the one side. I think that's great. I would request no parking on both sides. On the corner where Stonefield turns into 34th, it's a blind corner. Folks like to park on both sides, and it creates a blind corner, and you're narrowing it down to one lane, and it makes it really hard to see, and you're just kind of asking for trouble. People coming around, and I I'd just like to see no parking there.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Mahal? Okay, thank you. Sir? Did you fill out the card?
I did not, I will.
Okay, afterwards, if you don't
Yep,
mind doing that,
sure
and
will.
then please state your name and address.
Yep. My name's Greg Lurkins. I live at 155 34th Avenue. I am against the proposal to have just one side parking on 34th Avenue. Our block is, I guess, in the newer section, so to speak, even though my house was built in 94, the houses to the south of me are quite a bit older. Those streets are much more narrow. I actually went out and I took a look today and took a photograph, but I pasted off between two cars that were parked exactly across from each other. And there was 15 feet that a vehicle can get through. We do have, it is an issue on the corner, particularly because there's one resident, and I don't know why it never gets enforced, but it's snow removal time. He gets plowed in and nobody does anything about it. So you have the big piles of snow that's on the corner of 34th Avenue and Hawthorne. And that is a problem. But in my particular situation, I would assume that the no parking, if they put it in, would be on the mailbox side, which is where my house is. Across the street is a fire hydrant. We also have multiple people on the block that bring for their work purposes, work vehicles. So they don't only have their personal vehicles, they have work vehicles as well. And if parking goes to one side, it's going to be extremely crowded and cramped at that time. And like I say, there's plenty of width. In my company, we're in farming, and you could darn near drive a combine down that street when you have cars parked on both sides. There really is no reason. I know the comment was made before about going to totally one side in Marion. Totally disagree with that. But I would say that our particular street on 34th Avenue is certainly one with the two-sided parking. It works fine as it is right now.
Okay, any questions? Sir? Okay, thank you, sir.
Where do we get the cards?
Right there, at the end. Anyone else? Please come forward. Please state your name and address. And if you haven't filled out the card, please do so, but you have already. Okay.
I'm Daryl Letner. I work at, or live at 165 West 34th, just up from Greg. And I agree with everything that he said. We do have a little issue with one of the guys in our neighborhood. He actually tried suing the city he said that a snowplow hit his truck, which never happened. He's just been kind of a pain the entire time he's lived there. And I know this is probably not his fault or problem, but we do have multiple cars on this road. If we do segregate to one side or put it all on one side, it's gonna be very congested. And I know there's pictures of a fire truck going down in the wintertime, couldn't get through. That was 5 years ago, where there was a bunch of teenagers living in a rental house that there was 3 in a car and they couldn't get close enough to the snow pile because the city can't get it pushed back far enough. So they had to have room for open their doors. And yes, I couldn't get through there with my truck, and I actually called and complained about that. So then they just took that whole one side off, which is now a bike route and a snow route. I get that. 34th Avenue or 33rd Avenue actually had an issue with the same thing with snow removal. And they did the same thing, no parking on that side. That's also a snow route. That's an artery. 3rd is an artery. West 34th is not an artery. It goes to a nice little park, to a cul-de-sac. I don't see any point in having one side parking. That's been there since '06. That's been enforced since '06. The house has been there since '96. We've been in this for 17 years. And there's never been an issue until last year. So that's where I'm at. And I've talked to everybody on our street, and they're not with this at all. So I don't know what more we can do. If we have a voice in it, I don't know. I guess I just gave him my voice, but I'm sure it's gonna go however you guys want. So Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the public hearing, the public comment period. Yes, go
We
ahead.
had a few comments submitted in
Oh.
advance of the meeting.
Please, go
um,
ahead.
So Mike Mulholland, which spoke at the meeting here in support. Victoria Theed Nipper at 465 West 34th Court wrote in support. And then Eric Schultz at 490 West 34th Court against the no parking in the cul-de-sac on West 34th Court.
Okay. We'll proceed to the motion.
Mayor, I move to approve the project calendars regarding no parking zones as follows. This will be resolutions 31448 through 31451.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve project calendar for no parking zones as follows. Resolution 31448 for a no parking zone on the south side of West 34th Avenue Court. Resolution 1449 for the establishment of a no parking zone on the south side of West 34th Avenue. Resolution 31450 approving the establishment of a no parking zone on the south side of 34th Avenue. And resolution number 31451 approving the establishment of a no parking zone on the east side of Stonefield Drive. Discussion.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
So the comment was made about, the side of the street with, mailboxes. Is that uniformly one side or the other along 34th?
I believe,
Sir.
yeah, they're all on the same side. What we do again is we take in, and it's detailed in the TAC report, we take in consideration driveways, fire hydrants, mailboxes, intersections, and we're trying to leave the side of the street that has the most available parking if we take one side away. So we're putting it on the side that still has the most available parking after all the conditions are taken into account to leave the most amount.
So is that the sides that have been selected with those criteria? Does that have mailboxes or not?
Let me pull up the drawing and look. So it appears there's actually mailboxes on both sides. For Google Maps.
So if you have an additional comment, please come to the microphone because this meeting is recorded, so it's okay. Yeah.
Living on the street, there is no mailboxes on both sides. It's only on one side of the street.
Thanks for that clarification. Any other discussion?
Yeah, what I'm trying to establish is the no parking side, we're selecting the one with the mailboxes.
Second.
The Google image I'm looking at right now is from 2019. The fire hydrants look like they're on the south side and maybe mailboxes on the north side. But again, we take into the side of the street that has the most available parking if we were to take parking away.
That picture that I'm looking at blown up shows them on the south side.
Okay, sir, okay,
As a resident of West 34th, the mailboxes are on the south side of the road in my front yard, and the fire hydrants are on the north side of the road across the street.
okay. So I'll allow one more comment, but the comment period is finished, so, but,
I agree with Daryl.
okay.
I have a mailbox in front of my house. I live on the south side. The fire hydrant
Yeah.
across the street from me is on the north side. Mail person comes down, going to the west. They don't come back to the east.
All right, thanks for the clarifications.
Yeah.
All right,
That's helpful.
we'll bring it back up to the council here for discussion, so. Are you-
Yeah, so,
Did you answer your question?
yeah, it did. So what we're proposing is no parking on the south side, which coincides with where the mailboxes are.
That's normal.
Any other discussion?
No, I mean, my comment as we go through this, just as we've seen 2 times tonight, and we had in the past, when we start talking about this more citywide project, when issues come up about eliminating parking on one side of the street. I mean, we know we're always gonna have a group of citizens on that street for and a group against. So I think we try to do, as Mike described, do it in the best manner that we can if we're gonna eliminate it on one side, but you're never gonna satisfy all of them, but it's usually something like this, it'll drive it. Once in a while, as we move on, we're gonna do it on a neighborhood basis. This happens to be tonight, 2 particular streets that came up and had to be addressed in the manner that's being recommended by TAC, so. Unfortunately, there's gonna be people not happy, which is too bad, but.
But in making these recommendations, though, I mean, we're considering all the factors, right? It's not just across the board, we're just gonna eliminate on one side. We're actually there's a reason for it.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, we're following SUDAS. So if the street is not wide enough to have parking on both sides, we're following the SUDAS regulations.
So
or-
you've made that determination that this street is not wide enough under SUDAS
Correct.
to have parking on both sides. That's what I'm trying to get at. You've made that determination and, okay. So there's a reason for this.
If this street was built today, that's how it would be done.
Go ahead.
So the curve, which was the original part of the petition, was there a discussion attack without me going back and reading through the report about making it no parking on both sides through the curve?
So again, we have streets that have a similar radius to that. And when we put no parking on one side, that tends to address the issue. If it continues to be an issue, we can look at it again, but we feel that will solve this issue.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Your Honor. Mike, just for the record, what does the acronym SUDAS mean?
Statewide urban design and specification.
Okay, thanks. I haven't committed that one to memory yet. Okay, so this will establish compliance with that basis. And I guess I'm gonna just echo the earlier comment. I have a tendency to want to bias to public safety for emergency response. I mean, that's really the motivator that kind of got us going on all of this. I know that it may introduce an inconvenience factor, but the minute we have a delay of emergency response for any reason, all of a sudden, the people that are affected directly by that really won't care about the parking issue. They're going to be, favoring how fast we can get response to them and be helpful in that regard. So I'm biasing myself in thinking about this under any condition relative to the safety considerations. So.
Okay, but please come to the microphone. Thank you.
Apologies, I know it's over. With respect to if we do no parking on one side, and that it usually resolves the no parking issue or the parking on both sides issue. With all due respect, this isn't a normal street, a normal curve. We have Linn-Mar High School that's right there, and the kids park all along on that curve during the school year. And it makes it extremely hazardous. So I wouldn't say it's a normal street, and that normal procedures would follow as a result. So.
Thank you. Other discussion? Okay. All those in favor of the motion to approve the project calendar for the no parking zones, including resolutions 31448 through 31451, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. Okay, the motion is approved. This time we have a public hearing on an amendment to chapter 284-6F5 related to lot widths in chapter 340-8.2B11P related to parking requirements of the Marion Code of Ordinances. The public hearing is now open. May we have a presentation?
Okay, got two ordinance amendments tonight. First one is regarding setback, or I'm sorry, regarding lot widths based on widths of the lots. The previous code, all lots had to be a minimum of 60 feet wide at the front yard setback, which is typically 25. So you get a pie-shaped lot, when it's at least 25 feet back, it has to be 60 feet wide, like in a cul-de-sac or some odder shaped lots on curves and whatnot. When we adopted the new code, we have lot widths anywhere from 50 feet to and larger. So obviously we created a situation where we couldn't allow for 50-foot lots in town that we had actually previously approved. So we're just amending the code as shown as proposed. That aligns with the underlying zoning district. So if the underlying zoning district allows a lot that's 50 feet wide, then the lot has to be 50 feet wide at the required setback of that district. Typically, again, you're only gonna find this in cul-de-sac lots. Questions on that item? Okay. Second request is parking requirements. Through codification, it looks like somebody did some multiplication with the words there somehow. Old code required one space per now currently it currently reads one space per 7,000 square feet. So the new Unity Point, for example, would be required to have about 3 or 4 spots for the ER. We just want to amend that back to how it actually was in the code at 7 spaces per 1,000. That's been our standard for about 3 or 4 years now for all of our medical facilities. And we found that number to work really well. So we're just trying to make the correction that codification changed on us. We are asking for a couple of on the parking requirements. We are asking that the suspend the rules. We have a couple of medical offices obviously getting built. We'd like them to have more than 3 or 4 parking spots. And I got another one kind of in the wings that might be looking as well. So we just want to get this out of the way so those folks can operate within the code requirements.
Okay, thank you. We'll save questions until we get to the actual resolutions or the motions. At this time, the public hearing is open. Anyone here to address council, either in favor or in opposition to this measure, please come forward. Okay, seeing that no one's coming forward, we'll close the public hearing and then proceed to the ordinance.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 23-12, amending chapter 284-6 point F5 of the Marion Code of Ordinances related to lot widths and requirements. Initial consideration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the initial consideration of ordinance number 23-12, amending chapter 284-6F5 of the Marion Code of Ordinances related to lot widths requirements. Discussion. Now, questions for Dave? No discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the initial consideration of ordinance number 23-12, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 23-13, amending chapter 340-8.2B11P of the Marion Code of Ordinances related to parking requirements, and this is the initial consideration.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 23-13, amending chapter 340-8 8.2B11P of the Marion Code of Ordinances related to parking requirements. Discussion? Okay, no questions? All right, all those in favor of approving the initial consideration of ordinance number 23-13, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. Mr. Harper?
Yes, Your Honor, I move to suspend the rules and proceed to the second consideration of ordinance number 23-13.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to suspend the rules and proceed to the second consideration of ordinance number 23-13. Discussion on the motion to suspend the rules. Can you give us the reasoning again why?
The two existing medical facilities going in, would be under these parking requirements. They're obviously gonna have more than the minimum, but we just need to have it corrected and I have another medical office looking in at a site. And again, just want to ensure they have enough parking for it. These are all projects that are either submitted or will be submitted soon, and I don't want to lose that month and a half of having to read through the ordinance to get those folks to make sure they meet the code requirements.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion to suspend the rules? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 23-13, amending chapter 340-8.2B11P of the Marion Code of Ordinances related to parking requirements. Second consideration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 23-13, amending chapter 340-82B11P of the Marion Code of Ordinances related to parking requirements. Second consideration. Discussion? All those in favor of approving ordinance number 23-13, second consideration, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve, make the motion to suspend the rules and proceed to the final consideration of ordinance number 23-13.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to suspend the rules and proceed to the final consideration of ordinance number 23-13. Discussion. I think it should be noted that this is a very rare occurrence that we would be doing this, suspending the rules for second and third. And that we don't ordinarily do that, but there's a good reason for it. Okay. Any discussion?
I'm just gonna ask the question here because I was under the impression that you could suspend the rules for at least one motion, but it must be permissible to do two suspensions on the original initial all in one meeting. Is that correct?
Correct.
Because in my time on council, this has never happened. To move swiftly with initial with two suspensions, all in one reading.
Each council is a little bit different, but we certainly have cities that actually will waive both the second and third reading in one motion too. So you guys just break it out, which is fine, but it's certainly permissible.
Sure. No, and given this one, I'm perfectly good. This is just an ordinance with this, but normally we would like for the public to weigh in between these readings, and that's the purpose of that. So I just wanted to go on record making note that, as the mayor has pointed out, this is very unnormal for us to do this, but thank you for giving me that time to ask that question.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the final consideration of ordinance number 23-13, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion is approved. The next two items, I'll turn over the meeting to the Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Final reading.
Oh, there's,
Yeah, we skipped.
oh, that was just suspending the rules. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thanks. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 23-13, amending chapter 340-8.2B11P of the Marion Code of Ordinances related to parking requirements. This is the final consideration.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the final consideration of ordinance number 23-13. Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say no. Okay, the motion is approved, and now I will turn over the meeting to Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve resolution number 31452, approving the Sycamore Heights Second Edition preliminary plat for property north of 35th Avenue and west of 44th Street, Marion, Iowa, and this is brought by Sycamore Development LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 31452, approving the Sycamore Heights Second Edition preliminary plat for property north of 35th Avenue and west of 44th Street, Marion, Iowa. This is brought by Sycamore Development LLC. Discussion. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, is there a presentation on
I
this
can
at all?
give another one if you'd like. I do have some answers to the questions you had
Oh,
at the work
yes,
session.
please, that's
but I
right.
can go through the whole presentation again if you'd like as well.
I think, why don't you respond to the questions that we had, and then we'll see if there's anything else.
The first question was related to lighting, street lighting in the alleys. We got the street lighting plan yesterday, and they do have lights, obviously, on the public streets, and they have a series of lights throughout the public alleys, all spaced to provide, ample lighting for folks in the alley. Second question was related to the HOA. That's still work. There will be an overall encompassing homeowners association. How it's broken down, I think there are concerns about a very large association and just being able to the capacity to handle the development. There will be an OHOA, an HOA. How it looks and how it's set up is still being developed with the partners in this project. But it will cover again all the typical HOA responsibilities of snow removal, grass, maintenance of the ponds, et cetera. So again, size is still open in the air as they look at how they want to phase this and maybe combine it with the property to the east that they also own.
Okay. Any questions for? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some discussions in the past and comments in the past about HOAs or concerns about the HOAs, how well they're managed, whether they are financially stable. And I know we've had discussion about whether we should be doing more tracking of that as a city to make sure they are doing that they're able to take care of the areas that they're responsible for. So when I think of some smaller HOAs maybe having some issues, I see this one as being obviously the biggest one the city's going to have. And that's why I'm just right up front saying, is this going to be one HOA or are you going to have, 2 or 4 or whatever? So I'm just saying, if that's one HOA, that's a monster to manage. So the amount of money that's involved in that, the amount of responsibility is huge. So anyway, I'll let it go at that.
Any other comments or questions regarding this item? Dave, what do we prescribe any requirements for HOAs, or is that within state law?
Typically, we never have, just because we're not the city's not a party to the HOA, so we've typically just been hands off.
Okay. Right.
I'm not sure if there's limitations to that or not, but that's just been our past practices, so.
Okay. Right. Anything else? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 31452, approving the Sycamore Heights Second Edition preliminary plat for property north of 35th Avenue and west of 44th Street in Marion, Iowa, brought by Sycamore Development LLC. All those in favor of resolution 31452, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Gage has it.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve resolution number 31453, approving the Sycamore Heights Second Edition preliminary site development plan for property located north of 35th Avenue and west of 44th Street, Marion, Iowa. This is brought by Sycamore Development LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 31453, approving the Sycamore Heights Second Edition Preliminary Site Development Plan for property located north of 35th Avenue and west of 44th Street in Marion, Iowa, Sycamore Development LLC. Discussion. Anything else on this, Dave?
Again, they did submit one more elevation on we call it the three-story townhouse. It was same townhouse, just kind of giving it another look, showing it more of a true three-story versus something that may be recessed a little bit into the ground just based on the grade of the backside for the garages, but it didn't change anything. It was just give another appearance, and it met all the intents of the code, so we're satisfied with it.
Okay, very good. Anything else? Council? All right, all those in favor of resolution number 31453 as presented, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Back to the mayor.
Okay, the next item is a public comment section for comments from members of the public on any item, whether or not it was on the agenda. Anyone here to address council, please come forward. Okay. We'll close this portion of the meeting and move on to council comments. Start with Gage.
Sure, yeah. I just wanted to point out during this meeting, last night's engine push-in ceremony. I just thought it was a really cool new tradition to be brought to Marion. Of course, it's done at other fire departments across the country, but it was a great turnout and it was engaging, I think, for the community. And I think our fire chief did a really good job at explaining the history behind that tradition, why we were doing it. And it seemed like the community just really embraced that moment. So I was just really impressed with the organization of the event and how you engage with the community as well, Chief. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I'll just say, the summer is kicked off and I think it's going to be a fantastic time in the city of Marion for the next 3 months. The amount of entertainment going on is incredible. I mean, there's going to be entertainment in the Arts in the Alley every Friday night, 6 to 8. We've got some kind of a concert, almost one a week out at either Lau Park or that'll be uptown in August on 7th Avenue, which I think will be kind of exciting to have that change. So again, I talked to people in Cedar Rapids about this. I talked to people in Marion about it. So there's a lot more this year than we've had in the past, and people have a reason to come to Marion, which is fantastic.
So my comment this evening is regarding communications that we had received from a gentleman, and his principal concern was large commercial vehicles making use of the angled parking on 7th Avenue. And he was concerned, and he, by the way, he really understood why we're doing that in terms of maintaining adequate number of parking spaces. He appreciates the fact that we have zero elevation, no curbs. But his experience has been there have been large commercial vehicles that pull into those angled spaces and don't really fully pull up as far as they can, and then they become a physical and visual obstruction to traffic going both ways. And he cited a couple of concerns that he has seen where people have had to swerve into the other lane, and there's contention with oncoming traffic and the like. I don't know if there is a solution to that problem. I don't know if we can limit the types of vehicles that make use of those spots, but he wanted to pass that concern along to us in terms of a safety related matter. So that's what I wanted to pass along here this evening.
Oh, Chief, you have a,
We've got an ordinance addressing that for the parking. They can't extend, I think it's 18 feet from the curb on a direct line out. If they would call us, we'll come up and take care of it
Okay.
as they see it.
All right.
But there is something on the books.
There we are.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. And if we see it, we'll take care of it too, right? Okay.
Will.
I also attended the push-in ceremony. It was a lot of fun. It was neat to to see that and hear the history about it. And I was quite impressed with the new engine also, engine 92. And one thing that I was really impressed about was like there's a dozen doors, I'd say, that open on the engine, and inside all of them had mirrors. So all the firefighters can look and see how pretty they look before they go out and fight a fire. But it was neat to see all those mirrors on all the doors. Anyway, I know it's not for that. It's actually stainless steel and it's to protect the door. They don't get all scratched up. They're so shiny and new, they look like mirrors.
We look good and we'll save you too.
That's right. That's right. Well, they're firefighters. They gotta look good. So, and Steve was talking about events too, and Uptown Market is this Saturday morning, and then the Bruno Mars Saturday night out at Bruno Mars impersonator, not Bruno Mars himself. Tribute band. Yeah, I said something to my daughter about Bruno Mars tribute. She's like, Bruno Mars is gonna be there. I'm like, no, no, that'd be cool, but no. That's Saturday night. So, and I'm sure there's other events. I think there's music out loud tonight with Farmer State Bank's music too. So, lots going on.
Okay, for my part, since the last meeting, the Youth Council, Mayor's Youth Council, ended their year. We had a little graduation get together for the graduating seniors and gave them certificates and thanked them. We'll be starting with a fresh batch of students this fall. On the same day, the Arts Festival, of course, took place, and that was just it was just such a beautiful day. Gratifying to just walk around and hear all the positive comments, to see everyone be so happy, from the businesses to the visitors, to all the residents who were there, to all the vendors, the artists who were selling their art. Everyone was just so happy to be there, and just it was just a perfect day. And to me, one of the best new additions was putting it in the street, because first of all, the flow was better, and then it incorporated the brick and mortar businesses into the festival, which were always sort of not part of the festival because of the street was a barrier. And now they're part of the festival. The restaurants were out there selling food, and they had long lines, and it was just a really wonderful day. And at the same time, a lot of money was raised for the food banks through the sale of the bowls. They're at the Ceramic Center project that sells bowls for that cause. And they were demonstrating people could get their hands dirty and make bowls. And I got to do that. So congratulations to everyone who was involved in that signature event. We also had the Marion Leadership in Action class graduation. And that, again, that program has now graduated, well over 120 people, I think, from that program. So we're building this army of champions for Marion, people who are energized to volunteer, to be in leadership, to step in and offer their energy and their talent and their ideas to keep moving our city forward. So that program's been very successful.
2012 graduate.
Are you? And I know Seth was a graduate last year. I'm not sure who else in here. You're also a graduate? That's right. So it's a great program that the chamber puts on, and it's intended to, again, build this army of Marion leaders and advocates and champions. The cricket field at Lau Park was inaugurated. That was very well received by the community. There's been a lot of great interest in people wanting to learn more and know more about the game. So great job to Parks Department on that. Last week, we had our community orientation program, which is a project that I partner on with the Chamber and Metco it's an orientation, community onboarding for summer interns who are in the area and people who are new to the area. The whole idea of it is to introduce them to all the opportunities there are here, and specifically in Marion, but the region, for opportunities for recreation, for housing opportunities, arts and entertainment, as well as opportunities to make an impact. So young people are interested in all those things, and the idea is to get them to want to stay here after their summer and intern experiences. So we had about 20, maybe 22 people that participated in that, interns from throughout the city and the region. And that was again, very successful. And finally, congratulations to all the graduates, high school and college graduates. On behalf of all of you, I had the pleasure of signing 850 cards that went in every packet of a graduate, high school graduates in our city. And going around town, people seem to have received that very well also. They appreciate that, and it's just congratulating those graduates and telling them that we're cheering for them as a community, as a city, as they pursue their dreams. So, and I think that's all I have. One more comment. I met with another elected official earlier this week, and afterwards he sent me an email with the comment about how impressed he was with what Marion was doing and how Marion has become the envy of other cities. I don't say that to make us all feel, proud of ourselves, but I just say that to say what you're doing is being noticed. All the work that you do is making a difference, and it's making Marion a standout community. And the real benefit of that is the attitude in the community and people's satisfaction with where they live. People love where they live in Marion, and they're happy with the services they're getting. And to me, that's the true reward, is when we walk around and we see people happy with where they live. So thank you all for everything you do. Let's keep reaching higher. We have a closed session.
Mayor, I move to adjourn to closed session regarding real estate transactions and litigation as permitted under section 21.51J and section 21.51C of the Code of Iowa, two separate measures.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn a closed session regarding real estate transactions and litigation as permitted under the Code of Iowa. May we have the legal counsel statement?
Yes, it was the opinion of the legal counsel that, the closed session.
Is the opinion of legal counsel that closed session is appropriate under 21.5 subsection 1, line item J, to discuss the purchase of sale or particular real estate only where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price the governmental body would have to pay for that property or reduce the price the governmental body would receive for that property. The minutes and the audio recording session closed under this paragraph should be available for public examination when the transaction discussed is completed. And the second basis for closed session this evening is under 21.5 subsection 1, part C of the Iowa Code. And the basis for that is to discuss strategy with counsel in matters that are presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent, where its disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the governmental body in that litigation. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we vote, any discussion? May we have the roll call, please?
Mr. Miskman,
Yes.
Mr. Jensen,
Yes.
Mr. Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Abalosly.
Yes.
Mr. Brandt,
Yes.
Mr. Sterned.
Yes.
Okay, we're adjourned to closed session. Thank you for joining us.